Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Healing Place Energy School. My name is Helen Chin Liu. I am a certified reflexologist, certified energy medicine practitioner, Reiki master and teacher, and I'm also the owner of the Healing Place in Medfield, Massachusetts. As you know, we've been interviewing lots of people, wonderful people, all these healers in this tiny corner of Massachusetts, and there are a lot of us. And as a community effort, I have decided to invite people to come and talk with me and to share what's going on in their life and just to keep everybody's spirit up. Doesn't that sound wonderful? So today, my guest is Judy. I always mess up Judy's name. I've known Judy 14 years. I still mess up her name. Okay, Judy, you're going to have to introduce yourself, honey buns.
Judy Giovangelo.
And Judy is a fabulous community builder. So tell everybody, what do you do, Judy?
Oh my goodness. Professionally, I am also a healer. I have a center in Holliston, which is currently closed due to this pandemic. But I do hands-on healing work. Like Helen, have a very big toolbox for addressing the energetic blocks, the past history, the traumas that all of us in the natural challenge of life face, and helping people to move beyond them and create a new storyline. I'm a hypnotherapist, a Reiki healer. I got the toolbox. And I teach yoga classes, yoga nidra, which is a deep meditative process. I train people in Reiki, all the things that you see with an energy medicine healer today. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit organization that I started after the loss of losing one of my children, my middle child, Benjamin, to suicide in 2009. It's been 11 years since the loss of my Benny. I've worked really, really hard to not only, work as an energy medicine healer, but also at the same time to bring this nonprofit organization, this mission-based, heart-centered, really important work forward for the past 11 years. BenSpeaks was just about to open our resource office below my Grow You Healing and Arts Center in March, and we had to cancel our open house, and we have shifted to an online platform, at least for the moment. And so that's a little bit about me and where I'm at.
I know. But I am amazed. And of course, I'm always so sorry about your son, Ben. I mean, here's this young man that was about the beginning of his life. And maybe Judy could go into more of that. But, I just think it's such a heartache when you lose anybody, let alone a child, to something like that. And it's funny. I've known Judy, as I mentioned, about 14, maybe 11 years. I take that back, probably about 10 years, because I did not know Ben back then.
Okay.
And because we met through a networking meeting.
Right.
And
probably after Ben died, yeah.
Yes, right afterwards. And I remember listening to your story back then and how much it touched me, because I put myself in your shoes. What would happen if, if I was ever in a situation like that I would lose a child?
Right. Unfortunately, in the pocket of time that I have been raising my kids, we're probably close to the same age. Your kids are likely in the same kind of age bracket. I'm not really sure if yours are a little older than mine, but that generation of kids, what are called millennials today, were deeply impacted by the cultural norm of that time, which was back then, and I think still we're coming out of it, the cultural way of putting all kids in the same box, and my kids were not kids that fit the mainstream model for education and learning styles, and were early, especially my Benny, who was super sensitive, super empathic, intuitive and creative, and really beat to his own drum from the moment he came into the world, was already a setup for all the, what I call the ABC diagnoses of, what was wrong with Ben, and not focusing on, his gifts and his incredible talents and his abilities, but more focusing on how he was broken and how he didn't fit the mainstream model and the mainstream box. And the result of that was, you know, what our organization calls a Ben. And are you raising a Ben today? And so many people, and especially again, that millennial group of kids in our culture, I mean, they've dropped like flies between combination of suicide and the opiate epidemic. I mean, my daughter, who was 16 when her brother took his life and has been deeply impacted, obviously, you know, coming out of the gate at 16 with severe PTSD, going headlong into addiction, and now coming out of addiction, learning skills and tools to address that PTSD. She, you know, is one of the kids of that generation and has lost, I would say, she's up to 10 or 12 friends that have died to opiates or suicide.
Is there anything, I mean, I don't know if this is a correct term. Is there, I mean, the tail signs are there? You know, what do you do as a parent, as an adult? What do you do with these types of situations? Do you know the signs, and what can you do to prevent it?
I don't think there's an easy answer to that question.
I know.
There are, you know, one of the services that BenSpeaks is offering today is collecting the plethora of resources that are available out there. But I think a lot of it is education and language. And that's one of the things we're trying to do, is help people realize that, you know, you might need therapy, you might need medicine, but there are a million tools in the toolbox. And most people don't know that, you know, there's things like hypnosis or reflexology or acupuncture or Reiki, or, you know, there's a million things, emotional freedom technique. All of these incredible holistic approaches have great value, and that every kid has a different toolbox. We're all different. We're not one flavor of ice cream. And again, my kids, that millennial generation, they were the vanilla kid. I call them the vanilla kids. Everybody's got to be vanilla. And if you're not vanilla, you're fit.
That's right.
Shifted. And so now more people are open, but they don't realize that there are so many ways to look at each person from a whole child approach, especially your children. And, you know, that millennial generation, if they made it through to the other side, they're going to be okay. They're really resilient kids. And now young adults. And, you know, our culture is shifting. So I think that we've come a long way. We just have a long way to go. And it's about educating parents and helping them realize that there's not a one size fits all approach to help them. And that everybody has different challenges and different lifestyles and different belief systems and different, you know, physical challenges, mental challenges, emotional challenges. And you really have to look at the whole child or the whole person.
So tell me, Judy, your center, it sounds like it's a great resource center for parents and children. What is the main focus? Is it just coming together, or is it?
So there are a couple of components. There's the piece about providing resources through, you know, ultimately we want to become like the kayak for mental health. So you come to BenSpeaks for, you know, mental health resources, grief support resources, just resources. We're just going to give you the resources. We're not providing them. So as an example for grief support, there's Jeff's Place in Framingham. They're an amazing nonprofit for families who are dealing with a child who maybe lost a father to suicide. And we will just resource them out. But we have our own programs too. We've created a program called The Power of Choice. And I speak at the middle school, high school, and college level. And that teaches basically the law of attraction, but without using energy medicine language. It's really teaching the basics of the superpower that we all have within us, which is the power to choose. And then helping kids understand that their thoughts, their words, their feelings, actions, reactions, and choices create their reality, and that they're 100% responsible for who they're being, no matter what life throws at them. And that's the message of the power of choice. And I've just developed a curriculum that I'm piloting right now during this pandemic time. I'm working with 5 families right now, and we're just piloting it. And so that's going to be amazing. I'm already hearing from schools to speak in September.
That's wonderful.
We have a really positive message. And we also have a psychologist who has a practice inside of our new resource office. His name is Breton Torkelson. And Breton worked for 8 years for Wayside Family Services. You know, they're the organization that is the front line for kids who come out, who are, you know, cutting themselves or or our suicide ideation. And, you know, they end up in a residential bed for 40 days or whatever it is. He worked there for 8 years, and now he's got his psychology license. He's starting a practice out of the BenSpeaks Resource Office. And he's also developing a program called Survive to Thrive. And this is as a result of my son, Michael, who grew up in a home with mental illness, because that's what Ben was diagnosed with, OCD and bipolar disorder and the ABCs of mental health issues. And he and his sister were deeply impacted by Ben's mental health issues. And so Survive to Thrive is for siblings who live in a home where there is a brother or sister with mental health issues, because it's you know, it's so impactful.
Yeah. Tell me, since you've been doing this for 9 years, have you noticed there's been an improvement in mental health? Is it the same? Is it getting worse?
I think that it's definitely improving. I think there has to be more language. I mean, I'm in relationship with, you know, Samaritans and the Department of Mental Health and, you know, all the traditional models. And I think that there's a little bit of a resistance to open the door to holistic modalities and possibilities. And that's what BenSpeaks, that's what we are. You know, we are a bridge of the language. We are an invitation for people to not only get the traditional resources, but also to understand that there's a hand-in-hand approach to that whole child approach. So traditional meets non-traditional, or traditional meets holistic, whatever, however you want to say it. Yeah. With BenSpeaks, it's helping people to access complementary alternative resources and education.
But have you noticed a trend even in traditional schools where they're starting to adopt holistic practices, let's say meditation, yoga movement?
Not, I would say that they're not, meditation is not the word, it's more mindfulness.
Is that what the key word is?
Yes,
okay.
They're bringing in mindfulness. Some schools are bringing in yoga and mindfulness. Some schools are bringing in emotional freedom technique. Some schools are bringing in heart math. You know, everybody's picking and choosing and finding the programs that kind of suit their needs. But yes, absolutely, more and more schools. I think the public sector struggles a little bit more because for the multitude of reasons that they do, you know, they have to focus so much on test scores still.
Yeah, I know.
Needs of the community at large still. And a lot of the kids who, you know, are from the traditional, and this is just my opinion and what I've seen over the years, so this is not rooted in any kind of statistics that I know of, but just what I've seen personally is that, and how I've observed it personally, is that a lot of the kids that fit the traditional model, that parents and the families that are so steeped in those communities, they really don't want it to change because it's working.
Really? They don't want it to change?
I think they don't. I think that, you know, it works for them. So let's just say that for the families that it works for, it works. So why fix it, right? But then you have all these families that it's not working for.
But is it a medication base where it's traditional?
Well, I'm saying that, you know, if my kid learns, let's just say my kid's an engineer mindset and he does really well in math and science and he's done really well socially in school, I'm not looking for anything to change. Does that make sense? And then if I'm raising a Ben who's mentally ill and on medicine and has been in and out of treatment centers, I really don't want Johnny to play with Benny.
Yeah.
So I think it's a line in the sand that's been in our cultural norm for a really long time. And I think that breaking down those that line in the sand more and more as more and more administrators and teachers become open to, you know, erasing the line between this side of the street versus this side of the street.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But I think it's coming, I think it's changing, but we have a long way to go.
I know, acceptance. I mean, as you said earlier, you know, we are all different flavors of ice cream.
Right.
And how do you get it? I'm still amazed even to this day that acceptance, how do you not judge people when you see them for the first time. Already you're doing like what I call a body scan, and you're trying to feel that person's energy and where do they fit into your life. And I'm always amazed when people feel intimidated.
Right. Right. And that's their stuff. I mean, BenSpeaks language, especially when I speak in the school, is about helping kids to understand there's only one bully you really have to address. And it's the one that lives in your own head. If you address your own inner bully, your own inner landscape, your own beliefs, your own comparison of other people, comparing yourself to other people, not liking Johnny because he's different than you. I mean, it's okay to not like everybody. You don't have to like everybody.
No.
But you do have to be kind. You do have to be willing to, be accepting of other human beings. It doesn't mean you have to hang out with them. But if you're reacting in some way or triggered in some way by the way that somebody, is being in your presence, and you start to, say negative things or be judgmental or critical, you're really looking at your own inner bully.
Yeah, it's true. I try to raise my children in what I call a very colorblind household. We try to be kind to everybody. To me, everybody is the same. I taught my kids really young, no one's above us and no one's below us.
Exactly.
And I really drove
Maybe
it.
just different, that's all.
Yeah, we're just different, that's all. But I'm just amazed, once they go outside the house, they draw their own conclusion. And I don't know if that's influenced by what they see, or perhaps they become part of the pack.
Absolutely. I mean, I taught my kids all those same things too.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're highly influenced by their environment. I mean, there's more and more science showing us, through some of these incredible quantum physicists that are out there today that are really looking at the science of the gene versus the environment. And both are impacting, our body's disease, what we bring forward into our life karmically. I mean, there's so many veins of this, but we are definitely products of our environment. So the home environment doesn't necessarily match in the language of the parents to be kind, be nice, treat other people with respect, take away color, take away judgment, take away, all of the different varying degrees of, if somebody's not like me, therefore there must be something wrong with them. As soon as they get out into the world and start to observe and listen to other people, they start to pick up the things we're trying to teach them not to do.
Yeah, which always amazes me.
Yeah.
I think of it as, the little baby birds in a nest. And even though the parents are trying to feed them equally, and I'm amazed how the biggest birdie, the baby bird, will push out the other ones out of the nest so you can eat all the worms. And then I'm thinking, do we all struggle that way every single day to be bigger, to be better?
100%. That's the ego, and that's part of who we are. And if you don't keep your ego in check, every one of us has that. Anybody who says that they don't come from their ego,
please, yeah.
full of it.
Yeah, they're full of it. And
because there's a natural, so for me, the language with me, BenSpeaks, everything that I do, is to shift first myself to more of a we consciousness. I call it, it's all about me, the M. And then how do we shift to we? So from me, fear-based consciousness, to we, all about us, love-based consciousness. And that the more that we can come from heart-centered consciousness and less from the ego mind, the all about me, the competitive nature of who we are, because that's part of who we are, that we can create a different world. A world that's more accepting, that's kind of, it's more loving, but that each of us individually have to take a stand for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Do I not have an ego? Of course I do.
Yeah, we all do.
And that ego is going to save me if a freaking Bengal tiger comes, running through my house. And I need that, but I don't have to, but I have to be aware, as we all do, and as we teach kids, that, being nice to each other, being kind, being respectful, treating others with the respect that we hope that they bring to us is, a basic human practice that would really lend well to all of us.
I always think of this as, again, coming back from the caveman days, and everything becomes survival. Right. Like one of the things I want to ask you, Judy, because you do give so much of yourself to community, to these events, to building a community. Do you find yourself that you need a lot of time to regroup?
I mean, I definitely have my self-care practices, and, you know, even though I run two businesses and one of them is a nonprofit that does not, you know, financially, you know, support me.
I'm going to go right here in a minute because Kirby is scratching at the door. He's very persistent, but I'm listening, everybody.
Oh, you go right ahead. I'll just pause until you get back.
No, everybody's coming in. It's a quickie. Go ahead, keep going because I'm listening.
I mean, you know, I think that self-care is just really important. I get out in nature every day. I try to eat a healthy diet. I, you know, practice what I preach. I see my own healer on a monthly basis. You know, it's all about taking care of yourself first. You can't go out and teach other people things if you're not willing to do those things yourself. And so I have days where I get really burned out. Yeah, 100%, because it takes a lot to build the kind of things that I've been building. I'm a sole proprietor, full-on entrepreneur. I definitely have a tendency to have my hands in a lot of different places and a lot of baskets, but that's how I am. I'm a multitasker. I'm a big picture thinker. Bringing it into the detail aspect in the world has been a real challenge for me, but I think I'm really gifted at being able to attract the people that can do the things that I don't want to do. And the more organized that we have become as an organization, especially BenSpeaks, the more we're able and have the right team in place, which we now have.
I think that's wonderful.
We really are starting to do some amazing things. And I'm super excited about it. We're launching this week a virtual platform called the Art of Expression. So the past 3 years it was called Art of Emotion, but it was in a physical space, inviting high school students to submit their art and music. And we gave $1,000 scholarship in art and in music. We hope to do that again, but until this pandemic is over, we're doing a platform where people can submit of all ages, not just teens. Of all ages can submit art, and we have 6 categories of emotions, and we're asking people to share their expressions, their positive expression.
Is that their personal expression? Or is it just something visual that they just like to do?
So it's submitting a piece of artwork, whether it be a painting, photography, a drawing. It can be poetry. It can be PPE. It can be a musical piece. It can be any instrument. It can be a group of people doing a piece. But it has to just fall in line with the categories that we have. And I think there's peace, there's love, there's hope, gratitude, growth and resilience. And it's right through our website, and it's launching in 2 days. We're hoping that it will take off and really go around the globe.
I think that would be wonderful because we all need a place. We all need a home. We all need to find that place that we feel safe.
Where we feel safe and heard and able to express ourselves and able to share our gifts in a positive way.
Yeah.
We want to raise the vibration of the planet, get people out of fear, get people out of, being afraid to say what they think,
Well, I think so many people are so afraid, if I say this, how is this going to be received? Does that mean that I'm going to be judged? What if I'm saying something that's out of my comfort zone? I mean, the way I am now, I've always been like this, even as a teenager. I've always been very secure in myself and what I did and say. So I don't gauge my life by somebody else's presence.
Right. You're rare.
I did not know that. I just thought everybody was like this.
I was not that. I grew up in a household where I felt really, I grew up in a really dysfunctional home. I went through many years of addiction. I was a high school dropout. I was bullied. I was gone. I was the kid from the wrong side of the street. I'm a creative, artistic. I had early messages that said I didn't fit in. I wasn't good enough. And then when I went into the world of raising children, I was a mother who was kind of like the Dharma in Greg's neighborhood. I did not fit into the mindset there. And, we were judged from the get-go. It was like living inside of a fishbowl. and I was raising non-traditional kids
Oh
in a
man.
small town. And I had very low self-esteem and very low self-worth. And it wasn't until I discovered, yoga and meditation and Reiki and
Wow.
developed myself as an energy medicine healer that I turned myself around. I now have high self-worth, but I did not.
I'm just so pleased that you found that spot within yourself.
Yeah.
I
And I
really,
still have that voice. I don't know that voice will ever go away. In my,
we all have it. I have it.
yeah, in my healing work, I call it the early seed, the negative seed that was planted. And that, I've just learned not to listen to it. That seed for me is the inner bully. And that bully has no power over me anymore.
So everybody, did you hear that? Say that again, Judy. I think that's really important to emphasize about that inner bully.
Yeah, so it's the early seed. It's the early perception of my environment that said, in my mind, my perception of it was that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't deserve, that I wasn't enough. And so that's played out my entire life. But now, as an adult who's done a lot of work on myself and has a lot of tools in my toolbox that not only do I teach others, but I apply in my own life, that inner voice has no more power because I've learned to recognize it for what it is. And it's simply a voice that that is connected to the ego mind. And it only has power if I give it power.
You know what? That's really, 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 really important. And I really thank you so much for sharing your insights today because we're getting close to the closing of our broadcast.
It's an honor.
I know. And Judy, please let people know where they could reach out to you, especially for your services. And I'll put that in the comment box, so you can reach out to Judy. And I'm hoping very much we could continue this conversation. Right now, the mowing the grass outside of my house, which there's no grass. So I'm like, this is annoying. But
well, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Helen, and I hope you continue to be well and stay safe and healthy. I can be reached easiest through BenSpeaks, really. You can reach out to me at Judy Giovangelo at BenSpeaks.org or info@BenSpeaks.org. My Grow You Center, I don't have a separate website for, but I am reachable personally for personal work through judygio.com. So it's JUDYGIO.com. And right now I am really focused on BenSpeaks work. And so I'm taking this time to grow that. But I'm doing a yoga nidra on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And I have a yoga nidra page on my Facebook page. So if you follow me on Facebook, you can pick that up. It's free. You can make a donation if you feel moved to. But other than that, it's an opportunity to just get some good deep meditation and do some personal healing work. So you can check that out too.
Thank you so much, Judy, for joining me. And we will be in touch. And I hope very much to see you soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Be well.
Be well. And I want to thank everybody for joining me, the Healing Place Energy School, Helen Chin Liu. And I'm going to bring you another broadcast, but I'm not exactly know when as of yet. But be well, take care of each other, and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.